This is what the lean-to looked like at the end of part 2. So this week I started by tackling the roof, and I did that by first attaching a drip edge onto the front fascia. I also used tin snips to cut it to length, but of course you can cut it to length before you put it in place. I rolled out the roofing paper, a little more than needed, and cut it to length using a box blade. Then I would set it on top of the roof and start tacking it down, once again using roofing nails. I know they make special nails for this application, but they were selling it in such large quantities that I didn't mess with it, and it worked out just fine. After I got the first sheet good and attached, I went ahead and repeated the process on the second one. I quickly found out that roofing means a lot of hammering. I came back with a box blade and cut the edge of the paper flush with the building. Then I was able to come back with a drip edge on both of the sides and attach it. Now on to the shingles. I started off by making some starter strips, and I did that by using a box blade to cut along the tar strip to cut off the shingles. And these will be the first things that I attach underneath the first row of shingles. Also, I took one starter strip and cut off 6 inches so that it would be staggered from the first row of shingles. I took the starter strip that I cut 6 inches off and started off by attaching it first. So I made a mistake here. I was actually supposed to leave these starter strips hanging over the edges by 3/8 of an inch or thereabout, but I actually ended up making them flush with my roof line. But oh well. So I started off by laying my shingles. Now these I did leave 3/8 of an inch overhanging on the front and the side. Then I used the roofing nails to tack it down. Now I'm using about 4 nails per strip, and I'm nailing these in right above the shingle slit and right below the tar strip. Before installing the second row, I did cut off 6 inches so that the shingles would be staggered and have an offset to them. Now you want to make sure that the bottom of the shingles are overlapping just slightly the shingle slits of the previous row. And it just so happened that the 6 inches that I cut off at the beginning fit perfectly as a patch piece on the end. And then for the rest of the roof, I repeated the same pattern, staggering each row. So I would start with a full set of shingles and then cutting 6 inches off. And I also made sure to pay attention that I was lining up the shingle rows with the roofing paper line so that they were all straight. When I got to the very back row, I ended up having to cut off 2 inches off the back of the shingles so that they would fall in the correct placement. It was my original plan to put flashing underneath the flashing from that back wall, but there wasn't enough room once I was actually putting the shingles. So I kind of shimmied the shingles underneath that flashing whenever I got to the back. Also, to cover up the tar strip of the very back row, I used the shingles that I cut off for the starter strips, and these worked out just perfect. Again, I shimmied them underneath that flashing. Then I went ahead and also added a heavy line of roofing mastic to hopefully seal this joint nice and tight. The last thing I did was use a box blade to trim off the side of the shingles to where they were overhanging by 3/8 of an inch. And there is my roof. I must say, I'm pretty happy with it.
Now, before moving on to the doors, let me talk to you about this video's sponsor, Harry's. We are currently in the month of Movember, which, if you're not familiar with it, it is a month where men grow mustaches to raise money and awareness for men's health issues. I don't know about you, but all of my guy friends are sporting mustaches right now in support of the cause. And Harry's is the official partner of this great Movember foundation. So if you haven't checked them out, you definitely should. Harry's sells high quality shaving products at factory direct prices so that you only end up paying a fraction of the cost of what the big brands charge you. And the best part is they ship right to your door. So you can either make a one-time purchase or you can set up a shave plan depending on how often you shave so that the supplies are automatically sent to you on a schedule. Go ahead and click the link below and enter the promotional code April at checkout and you'll get $5 off your first order. That's right, $5 off by entering the promotional code April. So go ahead and start shaving smarter today.
Okay, on to the doors. I used my circular saw to cut down a sheet of OSB and my miter saw to chop up a bunch of 2x4s. I started by attaching 2 long links of 2x4s to the edges of the OSB, and then I shimmied in a top and a bottom and screwed them in place as well. Once I finished the first, I repeated the steps to make a second. Then I also cut some T111 siding to skin the fronts of these. To make these more weather tight, I did leave one door skin overhanging the others. Then I chopped up a few 1x4s and attached them as trim pieces. These doors are pretty heavy, but I did get them moved into place. Now getting them worked into the door jamb, that was kind of a bear. But again, I got it worked out. Once I got the door spaced how I liked it, then I started attaching the hinges.
Okay, please work.
Almost never does on the first go.
Of course.
I had to remove about ½ an inch of dirt, but after that, the doors worked just like they should.
Cool.
I added some locking hardware to the inside of the non-operative door, and then I also added a latch on the outside.
I know.
And it's a good feeling when things work.
This is way too cool. It is way too cool getting to this point. No, it does not come out perfect, but I feel like I am much better prepared on all of these small things that I learned during this build. The framing, the roofing, building the doors, everything. I feel powerful. I feel powerful right now. Now, it's my husband's birthday and he wants to go camping. So unfortunately, this is about all I'm going to be able to do this week. So next time I will be cutting a hole in my shop and placing my dust collector, air compressor, giving it a coat of paint, as well as a few other small things. So stay tuned if you are interested. Don't forget that you can check out wilkerson.com. I do have a written tutorial. Oh, and one more thing. I am now selling t-shirts. I currently have 3 designs on my website for you to check out. I have both men and women designs. So I will leave you a link in the description of the video. As always, thank you so much for all of y'all's comments and suggestions during this build. I really appreciate all of the tips and advice. So I will see you very soon.